real quick here. Can you guys hear him? Is he too loud? Ba, 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 ba.
Testing, testing. 1, 2, 3.
Boom. And bada
Hey
bing.
guys.
Looking pretty good. Looking pretty fly. Sounding pretty good.
Yeah, I had to find a button-up shirt. I had to go from my closet to find this.
Looks very nice, man. I like it.
It's been a few years since I've worn something like this.
So just to be clear, that's not the dress you said you had, right?
No. But I do have dresses. So funny you say that. Like I sell stuff online, and I went to a garage sale once, and this lady just offered me everything for free, including
Everything
her
for
clothes
free?
and stuff. So yeah, you don't say no to free stuff.
What? You went? What? Isn't the point of a garage sale to sell the things?
This lady just sold her house, and she needed everything out by Monday. And I told her what I did, and she's like, "Oh look, if it's not gone by 4 o'clock or whatever it is, I need it all gone." So she gave me my number, and yeah, good
Oh, that's
times.
pretty cool. Nice. Okay, that's a little bit less suspicious than it sounded at first.
Yeah, I'm like, I'll address that because I said I've got ladies' clothes.
Well, right on, man. How you doing today? How's your day been so far?
Yeah, pretty good. I woke up pretty early. I set an alarm, but I was pretty tired because the tournament went late last night, and
Right.
I love the Duck and Steve-O's tournaments on a Sunday night, so that's kind of my routine.
Right. I have not been awake to catch any of those yet because that is simply unreasonable.
Yeah, and I didn't catch the other ones because I'm asleep during them, but they're good fun.
Yeah.
I love watching competitive geoguesser. It's really good.
It's intimidating, I think, a lot of the time. Do you compete in them normally?
I never have. I want to,
No?
but
Yeah, okay.
like I have a podcast that finishes about the same time, like an hour into when they start. So it's one of those things that I'll have to reschedule and
Just kind of swap
yeah, but
around.
I want to in the future.
Yeah. Right. So Figsy, can we ask you one thing real quick? Is Figsy your real name? If you're comfortable sharing that.
So Figsy comes from my last name. I won't say what my last name is, but it's a Maltese name with fig in it, and that's where the Figsy comes from.
Right,
it's not from the fruit or anything. It's everyone in my family is like called Fig or Figsy or something like that. So I've just had this name my whole life.
Is it one of those things where, like, if you get a job somewhere and you're the new guy and people know your last name, they just call you like Old Figsy or something? Is it kind of like that?
Funny you say that. Every single job I've ever worked at, because my first name's Jared, so every job I've always just been called like, because people can't say Jared, so they say Jerry or Gerard or.
Wait, did you say people can't say Jared?
Yeah, they can't pronounce it.
Which part of Australia can they not pronounce Jared?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe it's a Queensland thing, but I've just had my name pronounced wrong my whole life. I worked with a Jared, so it was Tom and Jerry for one job, and it was Jerry in another job, and Jared in another job.
That's funny because, like, I've got Murph, right? And so it's like most jobs I'd say in the past 10 years I've ever had, everybody calls me Murph. I am always Murph. And then when I go, my brother's got this job. I can go hang out with him from time to time. And it's the same thing. I go there and everybody's like, they see my brother and it's like, "Hey Murph, how you doing, man? Good to see you." So it's just kind of one of those fucking names. It's like, it's part of why I'm okay with sharing it here is because it's like, well, it's so ubiquitous in a way. It's like, it's so much a part of almost everybody I know in real life will just call me Murph. You know what I mean?
Oh, I'm the same. I'll get on Facebook and see one of my cousins who's in his 40s posting and talking about how he calls himself Figsy as well and talking about things. And I really like, oh, this is weird reading like yourself, but it's not me, so.
I like what Canada Graphs just asked. How do they pronounce it then? If they can't pronounce it, how do they?
Yeah, it's usually Jared or Gerard or something like that.
Right. Okay. So, but in the ballpark.
But it's always wrong.
Right.
And then it's always spelt wrong too.
And so you said
I was named after my grandfather who was Maltese. So it's the original Maltese spelling, which is Gerard. So it can be a little bit weird.
Okay. So like I would say Gerard, something like that.
Yeah. So the way it's spelled, it isn't pronounced that way.
Right. Okay. That makes more sense then. Because just regular old Jared, I have a hard time. Like, even if you're Australian, it doesn't sound like it's too big of a stretch, But I get it if it reads different than it's pronounced. That makes
I
sense.
honestly haven't. I don't say my name. It's Figsy, and it's just Figsy. I don't hear Jared anywhere.
Yeah, that's fair.
It sounds weird
That's fair.
saying it.
So you're saying then that you these days at least are you is what you're doing right now pretty strictly the only job that you're doing? Do you or like do you
Yeah,
have
so
a place of
I guess
employment?
I'll relate it all back to my whole story because it sort of all
For sure.
ties in. So I started doing social media, say like 6 years ago, back in
Okay.
2017. I was playing PUBG on PS4 and I was top of the leaderboards and people were like, you should stream. I'm like, all right, I'll stream. And people started watching me and, one thing led to one thing led to another. Like a year later, we got 1,000 followers and a webcam and people are watching and subscribing. And
Nice.
suddenly I bought a computer and I joined a streaming team and started taking things seriously and joining a
Yeah.
streaming team. They got me to start a YouTube channel and start editing content and learning how to do
Oh.
different
And
things.
this is all
Learning,
specifically for PUBG at this point?
yeah, all for PUBG. So I was
Okay. Yeah.
competing on console, competing competitively for money and in tournaments and different things like that. And
Right.
we had
Right.
really good views. This is when Fortnite and PUBG were like the two biggest
Still
games in
had
the
that.
world.
Yeah. Yeah. So you say 6 years. So you're talking like 20, give or take 2018, 2019 at this point?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Okay.
And I was doing really well on Twitch. We had 50 to 100 viewers every night and we are popping
Nice.
off. But I had the problem where I was streaming for like 6 hours and then making content and I was working full time. So I just got to the point where I
Yeah.
really like just burnt out and started to get a bit depressed. And that
For
really
sure.
kicked in. And things just started to go downhill from that. I really slowed down in streaming and
And was
basically just
this
stopped playing PUBG.
would this have been like say around the COVID era? Probably.
It was the year before. It was
It was
2019,
2019.
well
Okay.
before COVID. Yeah.
Yeah.
So then moving on to 2020, I just started doing YouTube again. I've
Yeah.
collected video games for 10 years,
I
as you
can
can
see.
sort of
Yeah.
see
Yeah.
around. I haven't mentioned that yet. That's where the games part of the name comes in.
That
So
makes
I
sense. That adds up. Yeah.
started making videos just about mainly PS3 collecting and talking about rare games and what to pick up. And
What
there
I
was an
think is
audience for that.
crazy is that you're a guy when you play a game like PUBG, you're practicing a lot. If you have like a team, you're working with a team. If you're doing a streaming thing, you're doing that all the time. You are PUBG oriented, and yet you have like 3,000 games behind you.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
It's fu-
It's a
all you do
running
is
meme for the
PUBG.
community.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, it's hard to like if you're a streamer and you stream one game, your audience wants that game. Like if you
Yeah,
didn't stream
yeah,
GeoGuessr, I'm sure when you stream this little snake game, a few people are like, "Where's GeoGuessr?" Blah blah blah.
for
And
sure.
in your
Yeah,
head, you're probably like, I can't stream it all the time because I got to stream Geo. And I got to the point where I didn't want to play PUBG anymore, and I'm like, I have all these games. I really want to diversify my content. So I was
for
struggling
sure.
on Twitch to change games because my viewers were coming in and be like, "We want to see PUBG." Blah blah blah. But I just got to the point where I'm like, I don't care. I'll do my own thing. Don't care anymore. If people want to watch, they want to watch. If they don't, they don't. They want. I
So
figured they want to watch for me.
in PUBG, did you ever do any kind of competitions or anything like that?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We
Yeah.
won the first ever PS4 tournament on
Oh, wow.
console.
Gnarly.
It's like a
Nice.
$500 prize money. It was like one
Huge.
of the best gaming moments of my life. Winning it
Did you
with
was it
the
all
original
online?
squad. Yeah, all online. It was there's a lot of cheaters in the game, so we had to have two cameras on us at each time, like one
Oh,
on your hands to show that you're not cheating, and yeah, it was lots to it.
right, right, right. So then
So if we go back to 2020 or
yeah,
2019, I started feeling a bit down, slowing things, and things weren't going well with work, and I just wasn't enjoying stuff. So I decided to change things up. I was in a supermarket. I left my job.
yeah.
I got a job in a pawn shop where I was buying stuff, and I
Just
wasn't
to be
selling
clear,
stuff at the
just to
time.
be completely clear,
A pawn shop is like a
a
secondhand
pawn
dealer.
shop, a pawn shop for anyone from America. There's no dildos that they sell here, right? Am I clear? A pawn shop.
So actually, I will add just during that time when I was streaming, I was playing GeoGuessr as well. I was streaming
Yeah.
GeoGuessr in 2018. I remember like GeoPeter back then and Wolf
Okay.
Trekker. I don't really remember anyone else because I did like maybe 5 streams.
For sure.
But
For
I
sure.
remember GeoGuessr being a game that did really well for me back in the day.
And would this have been after you had slowed down on the PUBG? Then you
Oh, this
you
is
would
when
do
I
some.
was playing PUBG.
Okay. Okay.
So
As
I
well
was
as okay.
yeah, exactly.
Right. So then you basically said after you got all burnt out, you swapped your how you could, I don't know if supermarket's necessarily a career, but you kind of swapped the direction you were going. You figured,
Yeah, yeah. So
screw
I
it.
changed careers and my life dramatically changed. I broke
Yeah,
out of my depression and I got really happy. I did see a therapist and
that's
everything,
awesome.
and
Yeah,
yeah, I worked really hard to break out of that. And like I'm really happy in myself today. I live an awesome life. I'm
nice.
happy every single day,
Fuck, dude,
and it's on the back of what I've been through. Like I value happiness over money and different things like that.
for sure.
And that's so true. Like if you know, I was busting my ass, and at the end, like I was making a lot of money and I had everything. But at the end of the day, if you're not happy, it doesn't matter.
Right. Right, right. And this is you're referring to more when so you're working at a supermarket and you're also playing as a pro PUBG player and a relatively successful streamer at the time. That was
Yeah,
you're
I
kind
was
of
at
in
the stage
tandem.
where I was kind of weighing up going full time streaming, but I had
Right.
my own house and I didn't know if I'd be able to afford things if I did had a bad month on Twitch. So I decided to not do that. And
Yeah.
looking back today, I actually regret that decision because you
Right,
know,
right.
you can always get a job if things go
How old are you,
downhill
Figsy?
and blah blah blah. I'm 30.
Okay, there's still plenty of time.
Yeah, yeah,
There's still
100%.
plenty of time. Yeah,
Oh, the story gets good. The story gets really good.
yeah. Okay.
So we're in the pawn shop. We're doing YouTube now. YouTube's starting to do well. I got to 1,000 subs pretty quickly, and well, we're at 4,100 subs right now on YouTube, and YouTube pay well on ads, so we got a constant income from YouTube.
That's
It's
cool.
doing pretty
Nice.
well,
Yeah, that's
and
actually I was curious about how that works because I do not have a YouTube video that gets me any ad revenue. So how do they calculate that type of thing? I'm sure I could just Google it, but
so YouTube's great compared to
yeah,
Twitch. Like Twitch, you make your money from your subs and your bits.
for
You
sure.
make, I'm sure you've made like less than $5 from ads in your entire time streaming
Yes.
on Twitch. So
100% true.
on
Less than
on
a
YouTube,
dollar,
you
I
get,
think.
yeah, you get
Yeah.
50% of the ad revenue, and
Okay, okay.
it's
Right.
ridiculous. Like
Yeah.
I think I had a video that came out last week. I named all the states in India, and the video went kind of viral in India. It's got like 3,000 views. I
Nice.
made like $10 from that video.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right, right.
it's a 2 minute video, man. Like, you know, it's really cool.
I mean, to be fair though, that's an accumulation of knowledge, right? You've taken a while to learn all the states in India, I'd imagine, right?
Yeah, 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 exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't put a video out naming, one state and getting the rest of them wrong. It has to be good content as well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I just mean like it's not just a 2-minute video that you just put together and just randomly did, you know what I mean?
It was. It generally was.
Okay, that's fair.
To get better, I filmed 3 videos back to back doing all the states of India, all the states of Mexico, and then all the states of Brazil. Crop them out and put them
Right.
out one day at a time.
And India was the one that landed the best.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Now I
That's
have to put
nice.
out more Indian content because it's doing
So
really well.
so you're always going to the post office. And I feel like
Yeah,
that leads from where you were when you started putting out more YouTube content to where you are now.
yeah.
I'm
So
missing
when
the
I was at
post
the pawn
office.
shop, I started selling stuff on eBay, and it was just a part-time thing. I was, maybe selling 2 or 3 things a day, and my boss was like, "Oh, you're doing a good job. Do you want to start the eBay store at the pawn shop too? And you can do that 50% of the
Ah,
time. You'll just do the eBay, and 50% of the time you'll work in the pawn shop." So I started doing that, and basically he said to me, "Anything in the shop, if you can make more money on eBay, you sell it." So I just tested every category out. And if I found a category
right,
worth selling, I started selling it. And then I'm like, I know stuff. I'm going to go out to garage sales and buy this stuff myself. And I started doing that. And
right.
fast forward
So
about a year, you look at like, sorry?
is this a skill that when you say you know stuff, is this a skill that you would say you kind of acquired working at a pawn shop and being able to have an eye for
Yeah,
certain
100%. Like,
things? Yeah, okay.
it's something that you can learn, but dealing with it on a day-to-day basis and buying items and dealing in like
Hmm.
jewelry and watches and not just video games but every electronic and just learning tricks that people do to sell broken things and learning what not to buy and different
For
things like
sure.
that, learning how people scam because so many, if you go on Facebook Marketplace right now, half of the things on there are
Yeah,
because people are getting rid of them because it doesn't work and they're trying to hide something and
for sure,
different
for sure.
things like that.
Yeah.
So I branched out and I've learnt this skill and I started to implement it in my own eBay store, and suddenly my eBay store was making more money than my wage. And I'm like, well, I'm busting my ass doing. Suddenly, I'm putting more work into eBay, and I'm losing
Right.
sleep, and I'm
So
realizing, okay,
so you're going to work at the pawn shop and you're doing this eBay thing for approximately 50% of the time you're at the pawn shop, right? That's what you're saying?
yep.
And then you're also going home and doing eBay selling as well?
Okay. So dude, I was killing myself. I was going home doing eBay and doing YouTube. So I was forcing
Right.
myself to
Okay.
put out
Yeah.
a minimum of one video a week. So I did one video a week for like 3 years. I stopped doing that, and now I just put out videos when
I
I want
noticed
to.
because I looked, because like when I talked to Hammerhead, I was like, okay, this is pretty easy. He's got a digestible YouTube channel. I looked at yours and I was like, dude, there's almost 700 videos. I don't know where I would begin on trying to
And
find
it's
like
not
a
just videos; it's shorts, and it's like I've got 300 live streams on the YouTube
for
channel, and then
sure.
there's podcasts and yeah. So, but YouTube do a really good job in breaking down. Like, if someone subscribes to me just for GeoGuessr, that's what they're going to get, and they're just going to get geography. Where if they just want video
Right.
games, YouTube are just going to show them the video games, which is
For
really
sure.
cool.
For sure. For sure.
So I just said to my boss, I'm struggling, and he's like, "All right, do part time." So I went part time, and even part time at the pawn shop was just too much. So I made the decision. It would have been 2022, about halfway through the year, to go full time. And yeah, a year
Nice.
and a half later, I'm still full time, just doing eBay,
Oh yeah.
YouTube, back on Twitch again. And
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
because of GeoGuessr. Like, I really stopped Twitch. I didn't do Twitch for like a year, and I was losing followers and stuff, which didn't bother me.
For sure.
But
For sure.
yeah, I started getting back into Twitch again, and getting back into Twitch chat's been really fun because
Yeah.
like the biggest part of Twitch for me is the community and the chats. And
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, just streaming a game and having people talking to you is one thing, but if you know all the people in there because you know them from another chat and you know them from
You
playing
see all the
together,
same people, especially this community. It's what,
yeah,
a few thousand people, and we're all going to
yeah,
general streams
exactly.
and stuff all together. 20, it's like around the clock thing too. Like if you're not getting any sleep that night, you just be like, ah, fuck, I'll just see who's in, and boom, there's 20 people in a chat that you happen to know. You can be like, hey, how's it going? And just hang out for an hour. It's such a convenient thing to have. It's crazy.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's
Yeah.
great. About a year ago, when I did leave my job, I started a podcast called the PlayStation Collectors Podcast, and we are now 111 episodes, 112 episodes
Nice.
in.
And so
I
are you
Sorry.
doing this with the same couple of buddies? Because I've watched like bits and pieces of some of these. I recognize the one guy. Um, can't remember his name right now.
Go Rad.
Yes, that is the dude. Yeah, 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 yeah. So is it like primarily you and him, or is it the three of you, or
Yeah, it started with me and another guy, and
yeah,
throughout the show, we changed hosts, and we have a
for
team of
sure.
6 or 7 of us. There's a quiz during the show. I do like a half an hour quiz segment, and there's a few guys that make the quiz every week. There's someone
Right.
that
Okay.
helps with like sharing it on Facebook and doing the admin, and then we have another couple of guys who are regular co-hosts on the show.
Right. Right.
And the way now this relates to video game collecting. So I obviously collect video games, but I'm more than just a collector. I started Facebook groups almost 8, 9 years ago now of like PlayStation 3 collectors and PS4 collectors. And these groups have
Yeah.
got 4,000 members in them of hardcore people who have traded with each other, who know each other. Like, I've
For
met
sure.
collectors in Malta, and I've stayed with people
Okay.
throughout
So this is a
Australia.
global
And
thing.
yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
exactly.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
And because of that, I've just been getting one of these guys on every week. So we have a different collector on every
Oh,
week.
that's awesome.
We've had someone from South Africa, we've had someone from Ukraine, someone from Brazil, UK, US, Canada, New Zealand,
Okay.
you
That's
name it. I
sweet.
get someone from each country come on a different week, or a different collector, or a different
Yeah.
personality in the collecting scene. And yeah, we just start talking about whatever the video game collecting news is for the week, talk about their collection, play the
Yeah,
quiz,
I've
show what I
noticed
picked up.
just some general video game news as well. I feel like yesterday you talked about the cancellation of the Last of Us multiplayer game. Was that what you guys were?
Yeah, a lot of people were upset
Yeah,
about that. So it was
yeah,
free on PS3, and they just cancelled it with a game that came out a few years ago. Something that we
Yeah,
got for
yeah.
free back in the day, and we don't even get it with a full price release these days.
Yeah, yeah. It's a little bit of a disappointment. I guess that's kind of the way it works when they have to split their resources. You take a company like Naughty Dog is easily in competition with companies like Rockstar. So if what it takes is for them to have to put all their effort into one project, I guess that's fair. But I was pretty disappointed when I read that too. Like, man, I remember
Yeah,
they
I
announced
start
this game
looking at
before
companies like sorry.
they announced this game before The Last of Us 2 got released, like probably a year before The Last of Us 2 came out. And
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
it's a little
Well, it's
bit
not even a new
disappointing.
game; it's a remaster. Companies like Rockstar and Naughty Dog aren't companies anymore. That they can't just make a product and put it out. They have to go to shareholders and get their approval and blah blah blah. That's why
That
we
makes
only see
sense. Yeah.
one game every 5 years and
One
things like
Rockstar,
that.
yeah, 13 years for a new Rockstar game or whatever. It's
Yeah,
ridiculous.
exactly.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I mean it does make sense. Like the way that the video game business is so extremely large at this point. It's bigger than what film, music, and like literary works are or something at this point. It's all
Yeah,
combined.
yeah,
You
exactly.
know, it's completely massive. It's hard to. I think I was talking to Maggie a little bit when the Grand Theft Auto trailer got announced, and it was kind of like to explain the scope and scale of how astronomically huge this piece of media is just like difficult to convey. You know what I mean? It's so
It's like bigger than any Super Bowl event at any
yeah,
time. Like
10
breaks the
Super
record
Bowls
of the most
combined. You
views
know?
on YouTube. It's astronomical. The
Yeah.
thing that we'll look back on in 10 years and be like, oh, that was the biggest 24-hour video that's ever came out, and it's still, it still is, and blah
Yeah.
blah blah.
Yeah. Like as far as the like 100 million views in 24 hours or whatever for that trailer.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Insane.
It's
But that's on
psychotic.
one platform, and then you got 50
For
million
sure.
on another platform, and blah blah blah,
For
and
sure.
not to mention the leaks, and yeah, absolutely
So
crazy.
as far as PlayStation goes, then when was PlayStation considered to be the one for you?
So I go back to my college days when I was at university studying, and I was playing video games because they were cheap. I had a PS3, and I went to the local pawn shop to get video games cheap,
Yeah,
and they
yeah, of
had a
course.
sale for $15. So I didn't have much money back then. I used to buy 2 games every week, or maybe 4 some weeks, and playing them all the time. And
Yeah.
I was
What was
always a
the
bit of a
what was the first one? Do you remember what the first one?
Oh, like PS1. Like I got it for Christmas,
Yeah, okay,
19
gotcha. Yeah.
2000, 1999. Would have
Yeah, okay, yeah,
been
yeah. What about Bubsy 3D? You got a Bubsy 3D over there?
that would have been the first one.
No,
Not
she's
this
got it.
exact
Oh, it's
copy.
Oddworld. Oh, nice.
Yeah, it was Oddworld. I
Nice.
vaguely remember Dad putting in a demo of Oddworld, and that was the first game I ever played on a PlayStation.
Yeah, okay. I may have actually played that same demo. It was like from a Pizza Hut or something, you know? One of those.
Something like that. Yeah, that was great with demos back in the day. But yeah, I just got this bug, and I started accumulating them, and I was always a bit of I wouldn't say collector, but I used to, as a kid, I used to have a lot of things, and I look after them, and
Yeah.
I used to like having multiple of the same things. So I started to get a bit of a collection of games, and eventually I had a bookshelf full, and that bookshelf turned into a big shelf, and then I reached out to Facebook, and that's how the Facebook group started. And
Right, right.
fast forward 3 or 4 years, and I collected a complete PlayStation 3 set.
That's pretty
Every
awesome just
PS3
to
game
have a
ever
hobby
released.
that kind of snowballs into this.
I don't have a full set
Sheesh.
anymore. I've actually broken it down and sold about half of
Like Dr. Poison's kind of
it.
envious right now, man. Yeah, that's awesome, man. So just to be clear, it's not all PlayStation, or is it all primarily PlayStation?
This room is 90% PlayStation, and
Yeah,
then I
okay.
have a Switch collection, and then I have a Pokemon collection
Nice,
of
nice.
like old Pokemon
Just
games and things like
exclusively
that.
Pokemon.
There's a couple of like Mario titles
Yeah, okay.
and a couple of JRPGs, but yeah, it's
Nintendo stuff. Yeah, okay. Okay. So I was gonna ask too. I think I can't remember when this came up, but do you remember we were talking about that house? It's like an eBay house, right? That you used to be able to walk around in Google Maps. I don't know if you were in stream when we were talking about this. There's some videos out there, this thing, and it's just like an eBay reseller's house where you for some reason, someone had taken pictures of all the corners of the house and they were all in Google Maps or something. And you could just walk
Oh,
around this house.
that's cool.
Man, it was mayhem in there though. It was mayhem.
But
It
yeah,
was
like
madness.
my
There's
house
like
is kind of like that.
is
So
it really? Okay. Cause he's got, I
I
remember,
live by myself. It's just me and Octavia. She's outside at the moment. I can bring her in at some point. But yeah, we've got like the game room,
yeah,
and then downstairs is just eBay. So
right.
it's just shelves set up, and every section's in alphabetical order or boxes that have A, B, C,
Right.
D, and they're all labeled and different things like that.
And so
And
do you
then
ever,
you go upstairs and it's tables of stock, and I've got like a disc cleaning machine, and yeah, it's not a normal house. It's like a workshop.
do you ever, do you refurbish things?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I bought a disc cleaning machine. I had to import one from the US. So they don't sell them in Australia, and because of that, not a lot of people have them over here. So
Right.
because of that machine, I've made thousands of dollars because it gets games that aren't working and fixes them basically.
For sure. Is it like one of those? It's got like a little scrubby piece on one end. Is it one of those things? Because
Yeah,
I
yeah, yeah,
remember. Okay,
exactly.
I remember when I
Like
was
the video
young.
shop used to have.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. As I was gonna say, I remember when I was young and I would have like a fucked up disc and I would take it to the store and they would just do a cleaning for free basically and let you just that was that. That's cool. That's very sweet. I
It's
have
not a thing anymore because it's
oh Christ,
yeah,
CDs, man. I can't even think of the last time I used a C. It would have been probably like on my PlayStation 4, but even then I bought a lot of stuff digitally. Man, I don't know. I think I own like the Uncharted. It wasn't. It was the one that came out after Uncharted 4. I think it was after.
well, the Lost Legacy.
That's the one. I think that might have been the last thing I ever played
It was like the
on
half game DLC that they sold for
yeah,
half price.
yeah, pretty much. Yeah, yeah. I think that might have been it. That was like the last thing on a CD I used 4 years ago or something like that. Otherwise, everything's just so digital now. So it's crazy.
Scary using the word own and digital in the same sentence because do you really own it if it's digital?
Well, no, I mean, that's why I used to buy records too for the same principle. I don't really have a record collection anymore. I got rid of a lot. I got rid of like probably half of them. Or so I never had a huge collection, but I probably got rid of like half of them. And eventually I had to stop buying them because they're unreasonably priced. But
Yep.
yeah, that was kind of my principal thought was like, all right, if the zombies come, you know what I mean, and the world ends, at least I got like these handful of records I could probably pull together, scrape together a record player somehow and have something to listen to, you know what I mean? Once all the
Yeah,
power is
exactly.
gone and or whatever, I can't
Or
play
if
that.
the artist has a fight with the record label and suddenly the music goes down, you've still got it and things like
For
that.
sure. Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
those things happen. Like there's plenty of video games out there that aren't available anymore, and the only way to own them is to have the physical
And I
copy
think that number is only increasing every single day.
every single day.
Yeah.
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 So Sony right now just leaked that they are trying to take control of ownership of physical games and make it illegal for you to sell PS5 games and blah blah
Didn't
blah in Europe.
someone try this a few years ago?
Yeah, Sony lost a court case in Europe for digital games, and Steam lost a court case. So in the
Right.
EU, Steam games are going to become tradable. That
Oh,
you're able to like sell your Steam games because they've determined that's
whoa. That's
illegal
kind of
to.
cool.
Yeah, yeah. So we could see that throughout the world at some point.
It sounds
How
like
it should be, though.
yeah, I mean, I think that that's fair, but that is weird because a digital copy doesn't get worn. You know what I mean? How can you would they do it like an NFT and you just like limit
Well, that's
supplies?
exactly what I talked about on the show the other day. I'm like, they could do it
Yeah,
like an NFT, and then like that would make an NFT a purpose. You sell your video game for a little bit less, or you trade it back into Valve and you buy another
that
game
sounds
or
so, but we
something.
don't need to do, we don't need to do that. That feels like a one extra step that doesn't feel necessary. But I get what you mean especially coming from a collector's perspective and from a perspective where it's kind of in a way a bit of a dying art form because there's not going to be all of this collectible shit in 10 years. You know what I mean? At
Yeah,
some point
exactly.
it just stops because I can't even put a CD into my PC. You know what I mean? There's no way to do
Yeah,
that. Even
yeah,
if
that's a
I,
good point with modern media. Like, I don't collect PS5 onwards because modern games
right.
aren't really complete. Like games, so a game to me complete should be 100% on the disc without the requirement of internet. If you put a
Yeah.
game in and it requires a patch, 10 years down the line or 15 years when Sony's like, we're cutting the service off, if that game requires a patch, it won't be
For
playable
sure.
because you
Yeah.
haven't downloaded that patch. But to
That's
me, these modern games aren't complete. Like a lot of Switch
yeah,
games are
yeah.
just download codes
Yeah,
in a
that's what I've
cave.
heard. I haven't bought an actual physical game in a while, but I know that if you buy something for the PS5, a lot of times there's no CD. It's just a code. That's it.
Yeah,
It's just, and for some
exactly.
reason, it's the same shape. They use the same amount of plastic to give you the perception of maybe it's CD nostalgia or something. But they could just give me a damn sheet of paper if that's going to be what it is. I don't know. Or you just use Steam. I don't really understand. It's so strange.
It's ridiculous too because discs don't cost next to anything to make. Like I
For
can
sure.
understand it for the
Yeah.
Switch because a cart costs like $15 to produce, but a Blu-ray's like cents, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
And
And
that's
then
the world we're going into, and it's unfortunately going to stay.
yeah, I can't see it really coming back. In a way, though, once again, I look at a record collection, and vinyl has had somewhat of a resurgence. I think it was
Oh
last
yeah,
year or the
vinyl.
year before, where,
Awesome.
yeah, I think that vinyl finally overtook all like CD, cassette sales, like every other form of physical music
Yep.
media. Vinyl finally overtook all of that. So I mean, so in a way, you could have maybe there will be a resurgence, or maybe in 10 years or something, there's going to be maybe a whole bunch of people who are just sick of this digital shit. But for convenience sake, I mean, it is tough to beat, right? It is a tough
I feel like it'll come
sell.
down to those days when people remember their parents selling their console to buy the new one and selling all the games and getting a lot of money, and they're like, "Yeah, I'm going to do the same thing," and then they realize that it's not worth anything because it's all digital, and they
Yeah, yeah.
realize that that $1,000, $2,000 they've spent, it's all gone, you know,
I
and that's a heavy hitting moment.
yeah, I recently sold my PS4. I don't know if that's I don't know, is that a shameful would that is that disappointing for you?
I sold mine when I bought a PS5, so
Just kidding. Yeah, so I sold my
I've still got,
PS4 like
still got
maybe
7 PS4 boxes upstairs, which
there you go. If you
which is
needed
another
one, you
story in
can get
itself.
one, right? Yeah, so I was working with this dude and I was like, I'll sell it to you, but and I'll sell you all the physical games, which I only had like 8 maybe or something like that. I had probably well over 100 digital games, but I was like, I'm just gonna wipe
Yeah.
the whole thing and then I'll sell it to you. So I thought I wiped it. I thought I wiped it. And then I sold him the PlayStation and all the games for like 250 or something, which I believe was maybe I might have oversold them a little according to some other people. But the guy comes back to work one day and he's just like, by the way, all your games are all still on there. And I'm like, well, what am I going to do? I didn't tell you, I got to trust you to delete them? No, I mean, they're yours now.
It
There's
sounds
fucking
like
an
your
extra
account's still on there,
$1,000.
and he logged into your account, and that's how he's playing them.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And that's fine with me. I don't need my PlayStation account. It's okay. But that was definitely a disappointing thing. And in a way, comes back around to what I'm saying. I get where you're coming from with the NFT-esque approach to how they could take digital media. Because it would have been cool if I could have like been able to sell those 100 games for even pennies on the dollar or something, just to make
Yeah,
some
yeah,
extra
even
cash out of
1
all that
or
shit.
5% of what you paid for them, you
Yeah,
know?
or been able to look at him and say, "Hey man, like there's 35 to 70 games on here that were basically full price when I bought them. If I could get some percentage of that, that'd be cool." But you can't do that. That's unreasonable.
No, 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 no,
That's
no,
crazy.
and yeah, and working in the pawn shop, people used to be shocked when they're like, "I've got 100 games on there," and I'm like, "Well, that's worth nothing. They're on your account." And they'd be shocked when I offer them like $80 for the console. And
Right, right.
like, sorry, that's how the world works.
That is
And yeah, there's no
crazy.
reason that Sony can't be like, here's, still credit because you said so much. We'll give you 10% towards a new game or
Yeah,
something.
they should almost have an easier way to do that. But I guess that rather than open up a whole new branch of your company in order to figure out how to handle digital sales and refunding digital sales in the future, you could always just tell them to go fuck off and not let them even have the option in the first place to do anything like that, right? So, yeah. Well, that's sick, man. So it sounds like that's going pretty well for you then, overall.
Yeah, like right now I'm mainly selling my collection. I haven't been going out buying stuff because I decided that I own too many games. I had
Right.
5,000 in the collection at one point. It's down to about the 3,000 mark now, and I want to slim it down to 1,500 to
For sure.
2,000. When I was younger, I was just buying anything and everything because it was super cheap. But now that I'm older, I would like to have either have a game on the shelf that has two rules. I want to play it, or I'm proud to go on Instagram and post about it on social media because it's a cool part of the collection. If it doesn't
For
fit
sure.
into those two categories, it's just sitting on the shelf because it's a cheap game, or it's a a $50 game that I own because
For
it's
sure.
expensive. But I'm gonna throw it on eBay and sell it.
Right. So do you I don't even really know how this works then with stuff like PlayStation. Like do they even have things like first editions or anything like that? Like is there any there is?
Yeah. Well, this gets into the grading scene as well. So
Okay, yeah,
there
yeah, that
is.
makes sense.
With PlayStation and modern stuff, it's more or less
Yeah.
like your special editions, your slip covers, your collector's editions, your steel books. It's all that type of stuff. I'll
Right.
swing my
Okay.
camera around a little bit. You can see all these like big boxed items
Yeah.
and things like that.
Yeah.
So that's more or less what you're talking about with PlayStation stuff, and that's where a lot of the money lies in the different editions. Where the standard edition might be worth $50, but the collector's edition's the one everyone wants, and it's worth five
Right.
hundred
So
dollars.
are those the ones like in the case of the Bloodborne one that you had there? Like what is that? Did it cuz I know like if you take something like Fallout 76 or something where they're going to sell you like a bag, you know, or like Halo when they give you a helmet or something like that, right? Is it that kind of a special edition that we're talking about, or is there an actual like printing first edition? Like this is copy 2 out of 45,000. You know what I mean? Does that
Um,
make sense?
so throughout my collection, I got a bit of both. I have a lot of items that
Okay.
are low printed, and this is number blah 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 of blah blah blah.
All right. All
That
right.
Bloodborne one in particular, it's one of the nicest pieces in my collection. It includes like a bookcase, and then inside it's absolutely packed. It's got like a steel book. It's got in the game you can ring a bell and summon another player, and it's got the bell
Yeah.
inside that you can ring. It's got like an
Jeez.
ink scroll in it, and
Damn.
it's absolutely
That's pretty
beautiful.
sick.
But I do
That's very
collect a lot of
cool.
that like low print stuff where there are a certain amount of copies, and well, I've got one of those copies.
How do you if somebody was selling that, how do you like double triple check the validity? Is it because you're a part of the community so you can talk to people and know or
Yeah, that's helped. So I got scammed a year and a half ago. A very interesting situation on a game that one of the rarest PS3 games out there. It's probably worth about $1,000 today.
what's it called?
It's called Digitales Lost in the Rain. It was a South American, excluding Brazil, exclusives, only in the Spanish-speaking countries,
Right.
and they were
Okay.
digital only games. So it didn't come with a disc. And because of this, download code only, and because of all these reasons, most copies got discarded. So this set of 5 games is really rare, in particular this one. So I bought one off a guy in Spain who said he was from Paraguay or something, and that's where he got
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And anyway, he sold like 6 of them, which was really sus. And didn't we only found out because we're all talking to each other, hey man, I got this copy. Oh, I got a copy too. And then it's starting to get sus. Anyway, I got my copy.
Yeah.
I instantly knew it was fake. It was photocopied because it was a digital only game. He's just photocopied. The seal was wrong.
Was it just
Anyway,
like
I've
a
gone to
flimsy piece of printer paper?
yeah, I could feel it
Oh,
in my finger. Like it
oh
wasn't
no.
flimsy. It was a decent job, but you looked
Okay,
at it
okay.
carefully. You could see one of the lines was off. And anyway, I've gone to PayPal with these other 6 collectors, and we've all made the same case. And PayPal gave us all full refunds. So, like,
Whoa.
if you know what you're talking about, you will get your money back.
Oh, that's crazy.
But yeah,
Whoa.
because like
Okay.
he's trying to scam hardcore collectors. It's just the wrong people to try and scam. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
And being a
That's
reseller, I
fair.
know how PayPal works and how eBay works and different things like that. So,
Yeah, yeah. You wouldn't know where to go to get a refund or
like,
whatever, what have
sometimes you
you.
have to
Yeah.
jump through a few hoops, but it's always worth putting in the effort because you know.
Right, right. So so let's just say like this week, what have you sold? Like and I don't even mean in PlayStation. I'm talking dresses, foosball tables. Is there any
Um,
particular items you've gotten rid of just this week alone that you're happy to rid yourself of or that
I'm just gonna pull open eBay so I can read off some of
just
the things
sick of
I've
looking
sold
around?
recently. I sell a lot of random stuff. The majority of my items are video games right now.
Okay.
A lot of DVDs. I sold a Coca-Cola plastic cup from the Royal Caribbean ship.
What would that be worth?
It sold for $11, so I made
Okay,
like
yeah.
$2 off postage. Not much. But it was an item that I got for
So
free. So
Okay.
When I do this, a lot of like my mum constantly sends stuff that she finds at op shops, and I'm always just
Right.
getting given stuff, or I go to garage sales, and there'll always be
It's
like
such a
free
crazy
boxes
gig.
and different things like that. Video games, more DVDs, more CDs, mainly just media at the moment.
Right, right. Mostly.
Um,
You don't have any like any do you have any
Sold a pair of sunglasses last week.
okay, so a lot of it's things like a tire or, in case of a cup, but mostly gaming stuff.
Yeah, I'm trying to get out of selling things that are big. So if I
Okay.
can't
You
fit it
never
in this
sold
room
a
and take a photo of it while I'm still sitting down, like I don't want to have
right,
to get up and put extra padding down to take photos. So I'm trying to avoid doing clothes and different things like that, or
right.
things that
Couches.
I have to research more. So I know video games. So if someone asks me a question, I'm
Yeah.
responding instantly. But if I get a question about what's the hem size of this shirt, I'm Googling the question and working it out and blah,
Trying
blah,
to
blah.
give them the best answer you can. Right.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Well, shit, that's pretty reliable of you. I gotta say, if anybody's trying to buy any shit, get a hold of Figsy, okay? That's crazy, man.
Yeah, I did do a bit in
It's so
jewelry and like coins and stuff, but stuff's quite expensive to buy, so I haven't got any more at the moment.
right, yeah, yeah. So you say coins?
Yeah, so when I was at the pawn shop, I began collecting gold and silver. It's
Right.
just you're working there and you're buying it and you're seeing how much it's worth and you're following the prices every day.
I also
So
feel
I
like pawn shops are a
accumulated
place
quite a bit
where
of it.
that's going to come up in the conversation a lot. I don't
Yeah,
know
every
why. I don't
day
know
we're dealing
why.
in gold
Yeah.
and silver and being in Townsville, I'm a couple of hours from a city called Charters Towers, which I'm sure everyone knows from GeoGuessr.
Not
Someone
offhand,
took
not
my
in my
bike down
case,
the
but
road right now.
I have no doubt somebody does. Yeah, yeah.
So Charters Towers is an interesting region because a lot of gold comes from that area. So a lot of
Okay.
people here are actually digging up their own gold and taking it into the pawn shops
Oh,
themselves and different
wow.
things like that.
Is there a lot
Yeah,
of panning going on around there?
yeah, 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 big
Yeah.
time. So
Oh,
there's a
cool.
lot of like I say we, I don't work there anymore. We used to sell a lot of metal detectors with gold detecting parts and different
Right.
things like that. And like people have their own maps, and these maps are worth like thousands of dollars because the maps are where they've dug up gold and they can sell them for thousands of dollars because the people that are
Right.
buying
Right.
them are like, I bought the map and it was worth it and I made this much, so you should buy it as well.
It's crazy, man. Completely makes sense
Yeah.
though. But I feel like if you're gonna be in a pawn shop, I don't know why. I feel like maybe other than my dad talking about gold, I feel like the only times I've ever heard about gold is when I was taking my PlayStation games into the pawn shop and I'm like standing behind a guy.
Yeah,
The dude in front of
exactly.
me is like going off about gold. It's a whole big, I feel like that's an everyday conversation you're going to have there.
Yeah, and
It's,
like jewelry as well. I'd never worried about jewelry in my life, and suddenly I'm at the pawn shop and I'm buying fancy watches and blah blah
did you
blah.
get
And
the magnifying glass, the big magnifying glass to really get in there and be able to see if it's a real
yeah, yeah, I've
diamond or
got
not?
magnets and magnifying glasses and scales and everything you need to do that. Because I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm going to do this in the real world.
So,
I put a Tag Heuer. I don't know if you know Tag Heuer, the brand.
no,
It's a
not offhand.
mid-range watch brand. I bought a Tag Heuer watch in an op shop for $2, and I sold it for like
Right.
800 in a couple of weeks.
Jeez Louise.
But that's
Damn.
just
So,
from knowing what to look at, and
for sure.
yeah, it was
Yeah. I
cool.
knew a guy who was a big watch guy. I used to work with him, and that was kind of his whole thing. He's like, he would just drive around all the southern interior of BC and just hit up pawn shop after pawn shop until he found something. He's like, really? Like $10 for this. Okay. Yeah, sure, man. Why not? Yeah, let's go. Right. It sounds like it's such a good deal. Right. But it takes a lot
Yeah,
of, you have to be really adamant. You got to stick to it. You have to have a lot of drive. You got to be excited to find some shitty watches in every pawn shop in town. You
I
know what I mean?
don't do it because I feel like my skills aren't up there. Like you have to be able to pull the watches apart and verify that they're real and not fake and different things like that. And
Right.
that's the sort of steps that I used to be grab the employee and get them to do it. So
You got a
I only
watch
took the
guy.
risk on that watch because it was $2. And I took it to work the next day and it wasn't working. So they replaced the battery for me and they verified it was real. And they're like, Jesus, you found this. And
Fuck, man.
the boss is offering me like $200 for it. I'm like, nah, it's going on eBay
That's
tonight.
crazy. I feel like I never would have considered a pawn shop job, but you were making a lot of really good points.
Yeah, it was honestly the most fun I've ever had in the workforce. Like it was a
Yeah.
it had its downs. Like you're dealing with people that just get out of jail and things like that. But it had
People who
its
obviously
ups and
stole
downs.
stuff, or people who
Yeah,
are
yeah, yeah,
right.
exactly.
Yeah, definitely.
Stuff that
Yeah.
is stolen, and you can tell, and you're like, well, do I buy it? And it's like, you can't tell someone their stuff's stolen without 100% proof because you're, accusing
Then you
someone and
just,
things like
yeah,
that.
exactly. Yeah. I know one time I was really down on my luck, and I live across the street from a pawn shop. And I was really down on my luck, and I was like looking for something to sell, and I had a microwave. When there, I was like,
You one of
oh,
them
I walked
people?
across the street with a fucking microwave, man. I was like, hey, how much you buy this microwave for? He's like, we don't buy
10 bucks.
microwaves, man. Like, what do you take your microwave home?
I would only
I felt like
take
such
them
a
if they
fool.
were clean. Food items are the worst because
I
you
think
have
it
to
was
clean. Like our
clean.
job was to clean them. So if I looked at it and went, "I'm not cleaning that," then I wouldn't buy it.
That was a low moment, man. That was a low moment.
We
Well,
can
that's
get
pretty
into a
sweet. So,
bit of geography because geography is a big part of my life too. So I guess school I was always like a C student, but in geography I was A plus, and I used to get sent
sure.
away from the school to compete in like national geography quizzes and things like that. And I was like 0.1% in the country, and it was my thing. I never took it seriously after school though. I
0.1% in the
never
country doing what
just
specifically?
this like quiz that they would do every year.
Right. Okay. Like a national spelling bee type of deal.
Yeah, they would do it for
Yeah,
like English and maths, and geography was the one as well. So
for sure.
they,
Yeah.
they'd send the good geography students away for the school, so the bad ones aren't represented.
So then
But
where
yeah,
does
it was
that,
good fun.
so because like in my instance, I don't think I definitely don't share the same experience. I think almost exclusively it all maybe not entirely comes from geo, but a huge amount of it comes from geo. And
That's interesting.
yeah, yeah, I think that I always thought geography was cool, but I just not like I ever sat down and took the time to learn anything about it. You know what I mean? It's just always, and I've said this before that I think geography is kind of cool because it doesn't change. There's no, I mean,
Yeah.
unless
Well,
a
it
border
changes a
changes or
little bit,
something like
but
that.
yeah.
But for the most part, it's like anything like socioeconomical or political, or there's so many other works of types of art and stuff like that that are constantly fluidly changing, and cultural aspects that are constantly moving. But geography is just like, it just sits there. So it's kind of a thing that you can just sort of learn, and then it just is. Like it's not like you can really get too outdated as long as they don't include camera generations and all that type of stuff. You know what I mean? Then
So even when I was a little boy, I was fascinated with
geography
maps. And
is.
Mum used to say we'd be in the car, and I would ask her like, "How many kilometers to the next town?" And then I would look at all the, in Australia how they got the road signs with the next town and the little
Yeah.
letter and things. I was obsessed with finding every single one of those and be like, "We're 10 k's from this town. We're 5 k's from this town." And just love geography my whole
Do you
life.
think that that
I've
has
done a
anything
lot
to
of
do
traveling.
with being in Australia?
Um, Possibly.
Because
I
I
mean,
mean,
I got friends that haven't got anything, aren't interested in
for
it.
sure.
So
Yeah, I don't. I'm not saying like everybody would or something, but I feel like when you're in a place that is so isolated from the rest of the world, and then a place that is also got, it's so rural in so many ways. Like if you're trying to get somewhere, it's a lot like Canada. You know, so you might there's a good chance you're driving
and
for
then
eight
I'm in
hours
like the
before you get to
rural
a
part of
city.
this country where it's like the closest town to me is 100 kilometers away.
Yeah,
You know.
for sure. Yeah, yeah. So it's kind of like, so as a result, then I mean, it's just an interesting thing to know. I would think it'd be like a byproduct of being so isolated and so far away. I don't know, but I feel like that's kind of in a way how I feel about Canada too. It's just like there's so few things. There's still a lot of shit, but there's so few things that it's interesting to learn it all because
Well, it's like one
compared to the
thing that got brought
US,
up in your chat the other day with driving and cars. Like in Europe, people don't have cars. In Canada and Australia and America, if you don't have a license, it's a weird thing, because
right?
you got a license so you can drive and you can be free, and you can go to the next town, or you can go to that party, or you can go to
Yeah.
McDonald's or something.
And so much of Europe, you just hop on a damn train, you're there in an hour and a half. You know, it's
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
yeah. Yeah, I'm envious, man. I don't know. I think it is cool. Like I think in a way, and I think having Canada at least to British Columbia for me. I haven't really seen a lot of Canada, but I think having British Columbia at my disposal to just be like, cool, I can go on a whatever a 20-hour drive, and it might take me a 5 days or whatever to do it, but I'm going to see a bunch of. It's just so. I don't know.
You know
I
how
think it's
beautiful it's going to
yeah,
be.
exactly. Yeah, and it's gonna shock you like every time too. You know, it's always cool to witness it. Right. There's this place. I think I mentioned it. It was Maggie and I swung by there when she was here. It's called Lillooet, and it's kind of like you leave Kamloops and you start heading west towards the coast. You know, and you stumble across Lillooet, but it's like that entire drive from Kamloops until you kind of get to the mountain pass on the way to Vancouver. It's just like crazy. It's so gigantic. It's like it feels infinite. And like every turn is more gnarly than the one before. And I think that it's those types of things that only for me really reinforce how excited I can feel about geography and how much I actually realize I love it. And it's not just like a silly game that I like to play or whatever, you know, it's like mind boggling, right?
I'm sure someone that lives in like the middle of Iowa doesn't say the same thing driving through cornfields every
It's a
day.
lot
But
harder. And also, when you're in the middle of Iowa, you're surrounded by like a million cities in all directions. So if you need to go somewhere for like, oh, I don't know, I go catch a movie or something, you don't have to go very far. There's not like it, there's not any of that. If you want to go to like the big city, like New York, you're driving for like, you'll be there in like 8 hours. You know what I mean? Like if you
yeah,
want to go,
that's
it's,
crazy.
it's just way different than at least how I feel in the West and how I feel like Australia is too. You know, it's like you want to get to the big city, it's going to take a whole fucking, you'll be driving for a while, man.
In terms of different countries, I've done quite a bit of traveling when I was younger. I've done traveling to Asia. I've done Thailand and Singapore.
When you say
Singapore was one of
younger,
the
you mean
I did those trips when I was 19, 18.
okay, yeah, post
Um,
high school.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
okay.
And that Singapore was absolutely amazing. Like cleanest city I've ever been to.
Where did you say?
Beautiful Singapore.
Oh yeah, oh I believe that. Yeah,
That was so amazing. Like going to
yeah.
Marina Bay Sands was it was almost like it wasn't real life. It just felt perfect.
So
It was so cool.
pristine. Yeah,
Yeah, Ruffles Hotel, and yeah, it was such a beautiful city. But
yeah.
then Thailand's interesting because, like, as beautiful as it is on GeoGuessr, you can't bring in the smells from Thailand. That is just like disgusting, and you realize that there's like
Yeah.
sewage in the streets, and as beautiful as it might look, yeah, you realize like how lucky you are to live where you are
I
and
feel
different
like it
things.
also might depend somewhat on where you go. You know, I feel a
Well, I
similar
went
way
to
kind of
the
with
middle of
Mexico.
Phuket, so it's
Yeah,
tourist
yeah.
hotspots and different things like that.
Yeah, I got a boss who goes over there, or at least the boss of the last job I was doing, and that's kind of it was his same sentiment too. He's like, man, I love it, but sometimes, man, it can be a little insufferable, if you know what I mean. I like going there.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
cheap. It's worth it, but it can be a little intolerable.
Oh, don't get me wrong. I've had some of the best times ever there, but
Sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You also gotta
So
look after yourself, and you can
so
get scammed pretty quickly and things like that.
definitely, yeah, as a lot of those places are. Any tourism based place where you don't speak the same language, yeah, it's gonna be
Yeah,
tricky.
100%.
Have you ever been to the U.S. or Canada?
Yeah, so I've
Yeah.
actually had 3 different US trips. So I
Okay.
previously was in
Yeah,
a
I
long
think I remember
distance
this one.
relationship with a girl in Seattle.
Yeah.
We're still
Okay.
friends today, but things just never worked out with the whole long distance thing. But yeah, I did a couple of trips to see her in Seattle, and we went all around the city. And I visited every single game shop in Seattle,
Of
which,
course.
as a game collector, that was like my dream. I met
Do
like
you
different YouTubers in the gaming scene and different
yeah,
things
is
like
Dr.
that.
Poison still in here? Do you want to Dr. Poison, you want to remind me of the guy in Seattle with the Twitch channel? Cuz I bet you'll probably know who this guy is, Figsy. You could probably even name one and I bet you'd be talking about the right guy. It's like a dude who just runs a is it Pink
Yeah,
Gorilla
Pink
Games?
Gorilla. So Dr. Poison is gonna love this. So Radical Reggie's actually on our podcast a lot of the times. He's one of the guys from the Metal Jesus crew, and they are out of Seattle. Kelsey was part of it. I met Kelsey when I was over there in Pink Gorilla, which was amazing. Like, I was watching her on YouTube for years, and then I'm like meeting this person and things like that.
That's awesome.
And she's really short, Dr. Poison. She was like 5 feet tall. It was a blowout. And yeah, no, really cool. Heaps of fun.
That's crazy, man. Yeah, yeah. That sounds like a very sweet. So you went to Seattle. Did you mostly just stay in Seattle or in Washington?
First time we did, the second time we did a trip out to Snoqualmie Falls, which is like a beautiful waterfall, and
Yeah.
stayed out out there for a night. That was pretty cool. But
Nice.
on that, we got to drive through Washington. So like seeing Seattle is one thing, but seeing Washington State was. I'm like, oh, this is like a Twilight movie, you know. Oh my god, this is
Yeah,
beautiful,
Washington's a
and then
weird
you're like,
state.
oh wow, this is like more redneck than I expected it to be.
Definitely. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, that's where I'm from, like the Idaho side of Washington. That's like where I was born. I got a bunch of family and stuff over there. Yeah, man, extremely redneck. Yeah, it's a little surprising you've only ever seen the Seattle part because I
I
never.
was yeah, I was really shocked. I'm like, it's I've only heard of Seattle, and you know, I don't know if it's left or right way. I don't follow politics, but they're like very one way and different things like that. And then you go
Definitely.
out country, it's the complete opposite. But I love the city of Seattle. I was there 2016, 17 before it was a bit wild. So I was walking the streets
Oh
and
yeah,
stuff
a little
and
bit before
having
the
a lot of
epidemic.
fun. And
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. I also did go to Vancouver as well. I had a heap of fun in Vancouver.
Yeah,
I'd say Vancouver is probably the most diverse city I've ever been to. It was absolutely amazing.
and just
The
people
biggest
wise.
difference between Seattle and Vancouver is I'm Australian. I like to say hello to people. And I remember in America, I was saying hello to people and they were looking at me like, why
What
is
the
this
fuck
person
is wrong
talking
with
to
you?
me? Am I getting mugged?
Do
What's
I
going
know
on?
you?
And then in Canada, everyone's saying hello back, and I'm talking to them, and I'm like, I'm from Australia, and they're talking to me back. And yeah, that's what I remember about Canada. Every single person was friendly.
That is so. I definitely feel like I saw that in my younger years, and to this day, I would say it still holds pretty true. But I also feel like it's maybe changed, a little bit. But maybe I'm just jaded, or maybe it's just where I'm at, or something. I definitely remember that when I was younger. I was always back and forth between the U.S. and Canada, and I definitely remember anywhere I would go. Like it's almost like a tick for a lot of Canadians to just be like, "Howdy," you're like, "What, man?"
Aussies
Because
as
I'm
well. If you're
still
going for a
American,
walk, if I go for a random walk this afternoon with the dog, every older person, not young people, because young people don't say hello, but every old person will be like, "Hello, good day,
Howdy.
mate. How you going?"
Yeah,
It's
for
just what you
sure.
do.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
if you don't say it, it's weird. Like, why isn't this person saying hello to
The
me?
only time, see, if I leave my house, there's like a 80% chance I got headphones on. You know what I mean? So if I'm going to Vancouver and I'm going to be walking around Vancouver or something, that's a little different because I'm probably not just like I'm not going to stay in my own world. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if I'm in my neighborhood, fuck, I am, do not talk to me. Do not even think about talking to people. You know what I mean? But like I said, too, I think I might just be a little too American still, right? 20 years in
They're
America will
like,
do that to a
"Who's that
guy, right?
American guy?"
Yeah, yeah, dude. It's a blessing and a curse, man. I tell you, it's crazy. I'm in Canada and everybody calls me the American guy, and then I go to America and everybody calls me the
You're the
Canadian guy.
Canadian
This is
guy,
it's
whatever
a
you
never
say.
ending. Yeah, it's a hellscape. So when it comes to GeoGuessr, then, so you said that you started playing in what, 2018 on stream?
Yeah, like I used to think I was a good geoguessr player because I was a good geography person. Like I knew all the countries in the world and I knew most of the cities. So
Yeah,
just doing that, you have a fair idea of geoguessr. But I didn't know any of the metas. Like
of course.
you know, I'm
2018
getting
too. That's a tough. That's a little
yeah.
bit.
So I watched one of my old streams. I'm getting Kenya and Ghana mixed up, and you know, blah blah blah. But
Good
I'm
shit.
nailing like certain regions and countries because I can read signs and things like that.
Definitely.
So this
Yeah.
might be interesting. I'm actually a moving GeoGuessr player. Like I only play no moving in your stream, where I play moving all the time. Like I love
For sure.
duels
Yeah.
and I practice playing moving and looking for information and because I'm
Do
geography
you
first, so I
do
want to
you
learn as many cities in the world
then do
and
you make
different things like
maps? I
that.
feel like moving players are so much more map makers.
I do have a map. I've got
Yeah.
a few, but only one that I've seriously made, and it's a no moving map.
Of course. Yeah. Okay.
But it's a map that you can like 5K Australia in a pinpointable map.
Right. Okay. Okay. But not in general. You don't really make maps because I just feel like I don't ever drive around. Like I will occasionally, especially if I'm doing a co-op, which I don't do that much anymore. But like I almost never drive around on Google Maps. I've been doing duels since they added decay, and I just look at it and I try and guess as fast as possible so that the other guy can't drive very far. You know what I mean? It's the worst. It's awful. But I feel like moving players, you get to see so much more. And when you see a cool location, you can be like, fuck, and save that. You know what I mean? And come back to it later, or make a map around it, or throw it in one of the maps you're already working on. If I was a moving guy, I feel like that's what I would do.
I also am better at learning different areas by playing moving, which might sound funny, but if I'm on a road and I've gone up and down it, that sticks in my brain more than just a no moving location on at once, if that
That's
makes
very
sense.
fair. Yeah, that does make a lot of sense. And I think in a funny way, one of the best examples of that is Baba Garage. Like we have,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think
ever
ever since I played Baba Garage, because I played it in a co-op, that's how I found it. Uh, is that ever since I think we may have gotten that road once, maybe, and it would have been not long after I got the co-op or after I did the co-op, and I think I got it right. But it's like, and I've said this on stream, if I ever see that fucking road, I'm gonna know it. Every
Yep.
time we all go Baba Garage, it's not. But I will know it again when I see that fucking road because it's just so
It's such a good
distinctive.
hedge
So
though, so it's the
that's
best location.
that's true as well. That's true as well. But it's just one of those things. It's like drilled in there. I'm gonna recognize that fucking road again whenever it decides to show its head. You know what I mean? I don't know how that works. I don't know why that's the case, but you're absolutely right.
I really do love Jules though. I've been grinding. I got to champion a couple of weeks ago, and then I lost it. And I'm like, I'm gonna get back there. So I got back there on Saturday night, and I'm
Nice.
at 1100 again. And I'm like, do you want to keep playing Jules, or do I just want to sit here for a while? So I'm just chilling at the moment. But yeah, I felt like I was very far behind the curve because a lot of players have been playing for years. So I've
Yeah.
just started working on one country at a time. I'm
So
pretty good at India. That's the
so
one country I like grinded.
when you okay, so you used to play and you were saying you know you didn't know any metas, but you thought you were a geography guy, so you thought maybe you'd be decent or whatever. So then you stop doing the PUBG, you get the pawn shop, you get the eBay gig going, you quit the pawn shop. Then at
But
what
you know,
point
going back to the geographer,
in all
it was
that did you find yourself coming back to Geo?
it was Jake Lyons posting Sporkle videos, and I was like, I love Sporkle. I always play Sporkle, and he was posting Sporkle videos, and I was watching them, and then I started getting his GeoGuessr videos, and I'm like, oh, GeoGuessr has gotten way more extreme from when I started playing, and then the
Yeah.
the interface looked a lot better. It wasn't just
Does it
like
though?
a
Oh, no.
if you go back and watch GeoGuessr from 3 years ago, it looks like a website from
I
2010.
still kind of like the old style, but I do know what you mean. I do know what you mean. Yeah, it
And
is
then I
it is
think
modernized for sure.
Chatguesser got me into it because like
Sure.
GeoGuessr to play, I wouldn't have been playing it all day, but going on Twitch and still playing Chatguesser really got me hooked into. Okay, now I'm doing this game every day, and I've played every day for like 6 months now, and like
Yeah,
I go to
for
bed
sure.
dreaming about GeoGuessr, and at the moment I'm studying a new country every week, and I'm trying to learn subdivisions of a new country every
Right.
week, and like I did Russia this week, and I'm learning Nigeria states at the moment, and
And so you said then that you think you're particularly good at India then. And I have actually noticed that since I saw you doing some kind of an India moving
yeah,
challenge I think you were
I
doing.
grinded for the a balanced AI Gen no move pan zoom world record, and I got it in India, and it got broken, but I did have the world record for like
Nice.
a few days.
Huge.
But yeah, it's such a difficult country. So
It is
I seen it in the
extremely
World Cup,
difficult.
and I said to
Yeah.
myself, I'm going to go after this country because like no one knows this country, and
Yeah. It is
now that
quite knowable
yeah,
in my experience, but I have never had the gumption to actually just go ahead first and try and not even figure it out, but figure it out so I don't suffer so painfully at it. You know what I mean?
I think if you want to do India, learn the languages. Don't
Yep.
just learn
Huge.
what the languages look like and what states are in those languages. If you can do that, you see the language, you know the states that
Pretty
are
good
in.
heads up.
Learn
Yeah,
a couple of poll metas because there's a few poll metas that are quite consistent.
for sure.
And I mean, I learned where the hills are and what color hills are here and what dirt color is on each side of the country and things like that. You don't need to know that stuff.
Unless, I mean, you gonna get that fucking record back or what? Learn all 400 cars. Yeah.
If India once it gets back into like competitive play, I'll probably grind for it again.
Yeah. So you were saying it'll be an ACW soon?
Yeah, it will be.
Word is on the street. Nice.
There's 6 people working on it right now for ACW. They're just getting it perfect.
So
And
they've been working
making
on it for, I feel like India's been around quite a while.
yeah, but because of the coverage, they didn't want to add it to ACW. And then I guess with the World Cup and it being in the World Cup, it's sort of people like you got to put it in there.
Right. Or with it also being the duels map as well, the high rank duels.
Duels map is now ACW. So
That's what I'm saying.
No India in duels right now. Yeah,
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. So now that ACW is the duels map, then it would make sense for them to get it in there too.
Exactly. Yeah. You're missing one of the biggest subcontinents in the world, you know.
Huge. Yeah. Most populated. That's crazy.
Yeah. It's
as of like a few months ago. Yeah, that's wild.
Man, it's crazy that Pakistan and Bangladesh are like right next to it. They're like both top 10 most populated countries in the world.
Definitely. That whole fucking region, man. It's crazy. It's
But I
crazy.
think India is a beautiful country. Like I have got over the shit cam, and I see the beauty in India. That's why I love doing India. It's such a beautiful country.
For sure, for sure. Especially up north. I think up north is particularly rad. I'm really
Up
disappointed in
north
myself for
and
fucking that
like
up earlier.
Goa and Kerala and even Tamil Nadu. It's just, yeah, it's got some really beautiful states.
Yep, for sure. Well,
And I love cricket too, so that helps.
so you're saying that it was strictly in this past, what, give or take a year that you started to finally fall back into GeoGuessr?
Yeah, I'd probably say June, July. Started getting into it, and then a couple of months later, I really got back
Yeah,
into like Twitch scene and watching you and watching Dan and watching Duck and watching the tournament and everyone else who streams. And like because I work from home, I sit here and play GeoGuessr all day and work, and yeah, I have the advantage of having this lifestyle. So
for
because
sure.
I'm into
Yeah,
the game, and it's not a game that I have to only focus on just playing. I can work and put my guests in and continue working and do that
definitely.
for all
Yeah.
day. So that's great. That's what I like so much about GeoGuessr.
Yeah, agreed. Is the convenience of it. It's huge. I usually, for me, it's like just cleaning up my apartment, doing laundry, washing dishes. NMPZ is perfect for that. I just like run into the room,
Exactly. And
take a
MTZ is
peek,
perfect for that.
jump back out, scrub a couple dishes. I look over. Oh shit! I got to run back. I think it's great.
I've
It's
actually
ideal.
stopped watching a lot of people that play moving. I'm sorry, that play panning because I get distracted and I don't do as much work. So I'm like,
I'm
if
stuck
I'm
looking
watching this
at it.
streamer, I'm not going to do as much. So
Exactly, man. Yeah, dude. Like like I've always done NMPZ, and part of it is, as I've explained before, is kind of a joke. Is like, oh, I'm too lazy. I don't want to have to pan. Oh, shut up, stop asking me to like look at the sign
that
again. I
is
don't care.
true.
But part of it actually is because that's how I prefer to play. Like I would rather not have to sit here and like watch for 45 seconds to be like, oh fuck, okay, there it is. Yeah, okay, now I know. Right? I'd rather just get all the information I'm gonna get and then head back and do the dishes. You know what I mean?
If I
Quick
feel like
spin,
playing
look
when
at
I'm watching you, I get a game up myself and play, and I got two things going on at once, and you can do that.
while selling dresses on eBay.
Yeah, why selling dresses on
Yeah,
eBay?
that's huge.
Yeah, line up the
So,
right angle.
so
I
then,
missed something. Can you go back?
oh yeah, that's just what I hate the most. And the few times I do panning, it's always or when I watch people do panning, I'm watching somebody lately. I'm not going to call them out, okay? Even though I already have called them out, but I won't do it here. I've been watching somebody, and it's just so zippy. Yeah, it's nonstop. It gives me a headache and shit. Jesus, man, just like slow down. Give me all the info. If you're gonna do this, and I'm sitting down for it, just give me everything, one fell swoop, and then I'll get back to my dishes. You know what I mean? Stop freaking me out. Makes me uncomfortable. So, so you've got your podcast then with the PlayStation guys. And so do you do that like once a week, twice a week?
So we do that twice a week. So we
Twice a
have
week.
a show on Thursday, Fridays. It's Fridays for Aussies and Thursdays for
Yeah.
North America. And then we have our Sunday evening show. So Sundays, depending on the guest, it's either a North American time slot or it's a EU time slot. So we cater it towards the guest.
Sure.
And then we try and get our viewers involved. So I've got an active Discord channel, there are a few hundred people in there. And part of that is people post their pickups and I show them on the Discord, or they ask questions and it gets answered on the Discord, or
Right.
they post memes and the memes get shown on the Discord. There's a GeoGuessr section where a lot of us hang out and play GeoGuessr every day. So if anyone
That's
wants
pretty
to
sweet. Do you guys
keep
ever
it at
talk
India,
about it on?
feel free to jump in.
Does it ever come up on the stream or on the podcast?
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
We'll be chatting in there, both talking to each other, watching your stream before. That's happened plenty of times.
That's hilarious. Yeah, well, it is funny because man, like, and I'm not gonna lie to you. I try and keep this information hidden. I don't really necessarily, but I really don't talk about that much how big of a gamer I am. I'm a gigantic gamer, and ever since I started streaming Geo like as consistently as I do, this interrupts me playing the games I want to play. So it is funny. It's like I watch. I'm sure you know who Skillup is. I watch fucking Skillup all the time. I watch all of his weekly
Yeah.
videos. Little unbeknownst to so many people, I am very pretty caught up in what's going on in the world of gaming. I think it's so funny, and yet it almost never comes up in my stream. I think like for some weird reason, there's so many GeoGuessr players where it's like either GeoGuessr is the only pretty much the only game they play. And those, this maybe I'm being rude, but these tend to be the chess players, and the Rubik's Cube guys are also the Geo guys, and that's like their
Yeah,
circle.
I noticed that, and
It's
I was only ever like casually a chess player, and I noticed like it's a really strong connection between the community. Sporkle as well. Sporkle's huge with
yeah,
play
yeah.
GeoGuessr. I
It's
do
either that
Sporkle.
or they only play GeoGuessr and no games. I very rarely find people that play GeoGuessr as well as have like a hefty Steam library or a 40,000 PlayStation games or something. You know what I mean? I don't, maybe I'm wrong, but almost any time I've ever brought up gaming on my stream is crickets. Like, you guys
Yeah,
see that?
I noticed that, and I've commented a few times, and we've had our own conversations in stream about certain games before.
That's hilarious. I mean, you guys see the Grand Theft Auto 6 trailer? And it's like, everybody's like, what? What are you talking about? What's that called? Greg,
I've
Grand
watched it
Theft Auto
10
6.
times. And I've got the Tom Petty song like on
Stuck in
repeat
my
on my
head.
phone.
Yeah. I memorized
Every time I
all the
start my
scenes.
car, I'm just getting GTA 6 vibes.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. So when it comes to games that you play, is it almost exclusively, do you really only stick to your PlayStation games, or do you play a lot of PC games, or?
I play a lot of everything.
Yeah.
So, like, obviously, Geo is my main game. I play FIFA every
Yeah.
single day. FIFA's my casual game.
Really?
Played for years. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
crazy.
love my FIFA.
I cannot
Or
see
EA
that.
Sports 24, whatever it is.
And you know what? I've always said this about FIFA. I think it's the best of the sports games, the sports franchises. But that does shock me that a guy with as many games as you have you beaten all these fucking games?
And that's
And
a
you're
mean
playing
question that
FIFA?
I've had for years. So a lot of my games are in the plastic still. Like I haven't even opened them; they're sealed. So I look at it like it's two different hobbies. So I
For
collect
sure.
one, and I
That's fair.
play video games, and that's my other hobby.
That's fair.
And
Yeah.
like the way I collect is if I collect games, I buy games I want to play, and I buy games for the collection. So it can be two different things as well. Right now, I just started Baldur's Gate 3
Oh, yeah.
because it got Game of the Year. Like I have to play this. I'm only like 5 hours in though, and one of those things that I'm just like, oh, I'll just play GeoGuessr all night, or I'm just going to stream GeoGuessr, or I need to have
Yeah.
like 5 hours of free time to
I
be
guess
like, all right, I'm going to play the Baldur's Gate.
it sucks because I think it's one of the most intimidating things about a lot of modern games, man, is just that the amount of time to see a story through completion is it's a lot of fucking work. And I know I've mentioned it before probably a million times. I love RimWorld. I love Project Zomboid. Those two games in particular are easily, say I set out to finish every story-based game that I own that I haven't finished yet, within a month I will probably not be playing that game, and I'll be playing Project Zomboid or RimWorld, like, or GeoGuessr, guaranteed. Like these endless games that just make up their own story each time you start up a new save. That shit is just too much for me. It's like, as there's so many games that I own that I want to beat, but will never find the fucking time to do it. I just get wrapped
Or
up
if
in all
you
that
do,
stuff.
you don't finish them. You get like up to the last boss and you leave it there, and then you come back to it, and you're like, oh,
And then I'm at the last
I
boss,
didn't
and
beat that.
and then I can't remember how to play anymore. Like I don't remember,
Yeah.
like, what was I supposed to do? So I got to like restart. I think that's a good idea for some fucking reason. It's
I'm
awful.
stuck on the last boss on Tears of the Kingdom, and I put it down for a week, and that was 6 months ago.
Dude, that's where I'm at on Kingdom Come Deliverance. I've been trying to beat Kingdom Come Deliverance for
Ooh,
3
nice.
fucking years, and I am literally on the last fight. I'm on the last fight, and I booted it up yesterday to play. I like, it got bugged out twice. My guys were just running into a corner because it's like a big battle. The guys on my team were just running into a corner. So it's just me fighting like 50 fucking dudes, and Kingdom Come's a tough ass game to fight. If it's 1 versus 3, you're probably gonna lose. You know what I mean? So it's like me fighting a whole war by and I just did it like 4 or 5 times. I gave up. I was like, fuck this. God damn it. I'm not gonna restart again. I'm not. It's
That was an
great.
interesting game. I played it for like 20 hours, and then I'm like, nah, it's just not for me, and put it down.
Yeah, I can see how a lot of people feel that way, dude. I love like the alchemy system in that game. It's awful. It's so extremely tedious, and it takes so long just to brew one potion that you're probably gonna fuck up because you did one step wrong. But I love that type of immersion, man. Just like a big fat doobie and just like sit really close, and I'm just like a dude in the
I think the
1400s
first
brewing a
person
potion.
was too much for me. I wish they added the mode to switch between the two.
Oh, really? It's the first person that does it, huh?
Yeah, it was just
Crazy.
I just so used to my RPGs, they're third person that it was too much.
Yeah. Oh, I love first person. It's so immersive for me. It's
I do love the idea of being a peasant though, and not like the hero of the story, and
yeah.
you're a nobody in the game and things like
I
that.
thought it was cool, particularly is because like when you start out, you are just a peasant in the same way that I am clueless as to how to play the game. And I think that the as the game goes on, those two parallels increase. So it's like as I learn how this fighting system works, my character is also like leveling up and getting slightly better at the system at the same time that I am finally kind of figuring out its quirks and
Yeah,
complexities and
100%.
stuff. I thought that was a really cool way that they kind of did that. I really thought that was a cool idea. This game are they talking
No, I
about?
like the idea of it
Suvlakia
too. It was a game
Kingdom
that I
Come
pre-ordered
Deliverance.
because I was so excited on the idea of it. Like I pre-ordered this game and I played it day one, and like I heard
Yeah.
that they did a lot of patches to improve the game as well. So maybe I got a bad experience playing it so early.
Perhaps. Yeah. Yeah. Because I didn't play it until it'd been out for probably 3 years or something. But I think it still
Yeah,
holds up as one of the best RPGs of its type, which I guess there's probably not all that many that really try and do what it does, but yeah, there's like I literally have a sheet of paper on the wall right here that is just like a bunch of games that I need to finish before the idea is before Grand Theft Auto 6, but I don't see that happening.
I gave up on that. I had a backlog, and then it started that into like a multiple page list, and then I deleted the list and started it again. I'm like, no, that's impossible. I'll just do these games, and then it's just gone. I
Yeah,
just play FIFA and GSO.
yeah, it's exactly. Yeah, I just play RimWorld and Zomboid. Yeah, I know the feeling for sure.
Do you play GeoGuessr when you're not streaming, Murph?
I do, but I don't play that much, and I'm not really a learner. If I do, it'll be like say I hop out of the shower. You know what I mean? Hop out of the shower. I'm just like, you know what I'll do? I'll play a few rounds, and a lot of the time I just do 10-second NMPZ. It's like a
Okay, fair
lot of
enough.
what I do. Yeah, yeah. So I'll just try and rip through and hope if I get to round 5 and I don't know what it is, I hit the back button. I'm like, I'm not even saving this shitty score. I need to try and get like a decent 5 country streak. That's kind of what I'm trying to do. It's probably like a year ago where I was like, man, I really like this game, but I fuck up the country all the time. And so I figured if I can give myself 10-second NMPZ and just like know what the country is, and if I can just do like 10 of those and only fuck up once or twice, that's perfect. And I'm still I'm still a very long way away from achieving that goal. But you know, I'm
It's
doing it
like
the
that. I
wrong way.
mean,
I'm not a practicer. You know what I mean? I used to be a lot more than I am now, and I still have the draw to do it. But once again, fucking RimWorld gets in the way and stuff. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Or it's like I got a group of friends I want to game with. I'm gonna go. There's a good chance I'd rather spend my night going to hang out with the homies and playing whatever stupid game that we find that night or whatever, or playing some fucking Rocket League or something, rather than like learning like telephone poles in India. Right. So if I'm going to play Geo a lot of the time, we might do some challenges between my friends and I, but it's usually just me just doing 10-second NPZ.
yeah, fair. And that's what I feel like most of the time. GeoGuessr is either playing, having fun, mucking around, or if you're doing that serious study, it's usually by yourself or with one other person who's motivated to do it. Because
Yeah. Yeah.
a
And then
lot
you
of
can
people
learn
don't want to
together.
do that and just want to have fun. And I'll be like,
Yeah.
I'm doing this, and they'll be like, all right, sweet, and they realize, oh, this is boring. I don't want to play anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's largely it, man. And also, too, I think it really helps with the job you have that you're able to have that kind of
Yeah,
time. Because if
100%.
I'm thinking about it right now, I haven't really considered this, but I got this fucking pizza shop place. It's slow as hell, man. Like it's really mellow over there. So I'm thinking if I could, maybe I should just fucking bring up a Plonka guide or something and just start like passively teaching myself some shit. It'd probably be a more valuable way to spend my time than sweeping the floor again or whatever I end up doing, right? So
100%. I mean, you'll enjoy it more too.
yeah. Yeah. And then what actually come out of it. And I guarantee it would probably pay off at least occasionally if I did that. But I just, if I'm at home alone or hanging out with some friends or I just have a night, because I think streaming takes up so much of that time. I've considered doing streaming where I would do something like country streaks or something and we can have people come in and then I would be way more inclined to learn and we're more interested in it that way than the way I do chat guesser, which is usually just like fuck around, have fun, If it works, cool. If it works out really well, great. If it doesn't, whatever. There's always next round or next game or whatever. You know, I try not to
I
get too.
definitely feel like the people in chat who watch would be down for that, though.
I think you're
It's not
right.
like we're
Yeah.
here just for the chat gesture. We're here to watch you. You know.
Yeah. No, I think you're probably right, and it would also benefit me to learn. I just need the motivation to do it on my own. I think really.
Yeah, that's it. And then when you get into those routines, it's easy to just hit the stream, hit chat gesture, start doing what you usually do,
Yeah.
start the
Pretty
maps
much.
that you always do, and go from there. You know what you're doing.
Yeah. Exactly. I already know what I'm doing. That's basically it. Yeah. Yeah. It's just the
Yeah.
easiest approach to take, and it's usually pretty fun. Like it's, I never get to the end of being like, man, I really wish I had done something else that night. I always am like happy with it, you know, and like
Yeah, I
cool with the
had
way that it goes. Right.
last Friday with Forge's charity event. I'm like, oh shit! I've told him I'm doing party games. I have to like now organize what I'm going to do for 3 hours. So like, it took me half an hour to write a plan of everything we're going to do, and during it, I'm like, why didn't I just pick Chatgesser or something easy?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It
I
was
wish.
fun, nevertheless, but
What
it
did you end up
takes
doing for
time
party
to organize
games?
that thing. So we did country streaks, and then actually it was really fun what I ended up doing. So the next one we did life challenges, but it wasn't get the highest score. I had a random number generator, pulled up a random number, and you had to get that score every game.
Yeah,
And if
so
you
it's
went over that score,
like
you went
darts
out.
is what I think Toro calls that,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
That was
yeah.
fun. And then I get into things. So I was like commentating it, and so and so's 2,000 points away, and this can be it. This will be the guess. And like, I really like getting
Yeah.
into things
I
like
do actually
that.
really like I like that idea. That darts game is a pretty fun idea. It's the same
It
thing
was
as
really
Chatcaster.
cool. Yeah.
It's got to really
Well, it's
test your
interesting when you get a score of like, you need 2,000. Like, what's 1,000 point? You know what 5,000 points is? What's 1,000 points in GeoGuessr?
Yeah,
It
right,
really
right.
makes you think.
Yeah, I've seen like I
I'm
watched
hoping
Toro one
to
time.
start doing tournaments next year.
Yeah.
We're going to start with an India one. So hopefully in January, I'll organize a free tournament for India. That should be
Sweet.
really fun. Yeah, and
Nice.
go from there.
Oh, very
I
cool.
used to do in in PUBG. I used to organize like party events, and I would have custom events with like I would have races in PUBG, and like we'd go on one of the bridges, and there'd be 2 people with guns and 30 people racing around, and like these are what the events I used to do once a week in PUBG. So I'd love to organize something similar for GeoGuessr,
For
or
sure.
like I was saying, I do a quiz show. I want to maybe like incorporate a geography type quiz show with GeoGuessr players and things
yeah,
like that.
dude, I'll sign up for that shit. That'd be fun.
Yeah, there you
I
go.
would get
It
I
would
would
be
get my
fun, right?
ass kicked against a lot of these nerds, but I would be more than willing. Yeah. Sometimes, man, dude, I'll hear somebody just be like, "Oh yeah, man, that's just like that. It's obviously like that random city in Brazil," and I gotta play it off like, "Oh yeah, of course. I didn't even think about that one." But don't even know what it is. Never heard of it before. But there's like 4 or 5 people in chat all talking about that region of that part of Brazil or something. I gotta be like, "Yeah, jeez, I hadn't considered that," you know, because it's just it's crazy in the way that there is just so fucking much to know that it's like it's intimidating, you know.
Yeah, and you'll never know everything because there's always new things to learn, and
Sure.
it's
Yeah,
crazy.
such a deep well of knowledge
But
to
that's not
have.
the way I look at it. I am enjoying learning geography. So like first thing I did was learn all the capital cities of the world. Like 100 of these or 80 of these cities aren't in GeoGuessr. It's not required for GeoGuessr, but I just wanted to do that because I love my geography.
That's a
And I
sporkle
feel
shit right
like
there.
yeah, but I feel like even knowing this is going to help in GeoGuessr. These countries are going to come in the game one day, or what happens if it shows up in a tracker
For
or
sure.
something?
Yeah, yeah. No, that makes sense. Yeah, I did
I've
used to love Satera a lot as well. I used to use a lot of Satera before I started playing GeoGuessr. Just
is that the
fucking
one
around.
that GeoGuessr bought?
It is.
Or
It
is
is. I don't know
okay.
what they ever did with it, but it is. Yeah.
It's so dude, it's so bad. What the page, the quiz site that's on GeoGuessr is so bad.
Yeah, yeah. Oh God, no! Wait, the quiz. Those are not Sporkle or Satiric quizzes, though.
No, it's something else. It's their
Those
own.
quizzes
Yeah,
are awful, man. Those things are crazy.
so bad. I don't know if you've seen during
I
Forge's
forgot
stream though,
about
but
those.
Forge made his own quiz, and it was really cool. I love that idea, so I feel like I'm going to use that style moving forward.
Yeah, I did not catch that.
Getting people involved. Yeah, it was really. He did a quiz on every single streamer throughout the event, and had one question on each streamer. It was really cool.
Oh, that's a cool idea. Shit.
Yeah,
I like that. I like that.
Maggie dominated.
Oh yeah, okay, that makes sense. Yeah. Yeah. Did she really? Did she win?
I think she started late too
Fuck.
and like just destroyed
Still
herself.
destroyed. That's huge.
Actually,
Well,
no, I think she got third. Someone else might have won, but yeah, it was good fun.
well, Figsy, how you feeling, man? Are you good with you good with where we are? Do you have anything else in particular you'd want to bring up or talk about?
um, we've covered a lot of things. Yeah,
Yeah.
I can't think of anything else off the top of my head.
I feel
I
like
mean,
we
I can
got
talk
like a
about geography all day, but yeah.
Okay, that's fair. All right. Where do we start then?
We can start with like I I'm trying to not learn cringe matters.
Yeah. It would
So
elaborate.
when I do my study, so for Russia, for example, I'm trying to learn what all the areas of Russia look like. I don't want to learn like what the antenna looks like here and what the Google date is here and things
Right,
like
right.
that.
Yeah, yeah,
In
yeah.
my
Those are
head,
rough.
I'm like, this isn't stuff that is practical to learn for.
I think it's really, really hard, strictly because of like seasonal coverage. Because, like, say
Yeah,
for example, they update coverage and it doesn't have, let's just hypothetically assume there's no car or no antenna or whatever, but the season is not fall, it's spring, it's going to look so extremely different unless there
yeah,
is a
that's true as well.
distinctive sign or something right there. It's going to be so tough to be able to think that, oh, I know what this landscape looks like, but you probably only know what it looks like based off of what season the coverage was taken
Yeah,
in when
what
you
it looks
learned
like
it,
in
right?
winter, or what it looks like in spring, or what it looks
Yeah,
like when it's
yeah.
rainy, because
That's
that's
what I
when the coverage
found.
was taken.
I think it was a loc that we just looked at tonight, and it just looked completely different. I think it was a Thailand loc, just looked completely different when I clicked on it. Even though like the sign was right there, nothing else about the picture looked remotely the same. It was obviously 8 years later, so it was like way more updated, and like the businesses have swapped out, and the fucking road's been realigned and stuff. It's completely different thing. So it's that stuff is so tricky. I think
Or
I'm
even
not
when
trying to
you're driving through
detract
a
you.
field and the field's full of crops, and
Yeah,
you're driving through the same field and the field's just been harvested. They can look like
yeah,
completely different countries, but
yeah,
you just got to
for
be
sure.
like, that's not actually the soil. The soil's the stuff next to the road because that's a farm and that's just harvested crops. And once you
Right.
start click, these things just eventually
You
click,
have to
and
kind of
you kind of
imagine
get
it to
it
fill in
back.
the blanks, and then it starts to add up. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel
Yeah.
like the 50-50s are slowly becoming less and less, and the more you play, the better you get at this game. But you
Yeah.
always
Yeah.
have those, sending Canada or New Zealand or things like
What
that.
about something like learning Cyrillic, at least in the most
See, I'm actually doing that
rudimentary
right
form?
now. So
Yeah.
I've just started Duolingo, and I'm like 5 days into my Russian learning. So
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I'm at the point where I can. Like yesterday, I 5K'd a Russia location in 90 seconds. I was proud of myself because I read the sign and I'm
It's
like, oh, I know that
huge.
city, but it was Cyrillic, and I knew that letter was it was a
Makes an N sound
it
or
was,
something as opposed to
forget the city name. It was one of the eastern cities.
yeah. No, I mean, because when I realized how valuable that could be, I was like, fuck, I should probably do this. I think it was Toro who was streaming that one day, and I was like, damn, this would be a really good thing for me to just do for a half an hour a few times a week or something, just to like remind myself of how it works so that when I see a sign, I can. 'Cause the problem is, if I see a sign in a language I do understand, there's still like a 5% chance I'm going to find the city anyways, unless I
Yeah.
already happen to know where it is, right? So we got fucking Springfield and I'm in the United States. It's like, oh, great. Okay, well,
No, I
Springfield's
had
on
a
the road. There's
Portland in the
80 of
United
those.
States yesterday, and it didn't look like Portland, Oregon, but I didn't know any other Portlands, so I'm like, I'll just send here, and it
Yeah,
was on the East Coast. I'm
it's a
like,
fucking
ah.
Alabama or something. Yeah.
But if it was in Oregon, I would have felt like an idiot because I know that city.
Right, right, right. And when you see it on a sign too, you think, okay, well, it's on the sign because it's like an important city. You think, even though it's
Yeah,
not always
yeah.
the case, but that's kind of how you would like to think of it, or at least I do.
This is going to sound a bit nerdy, but what I've been doing for study is I've been using ACW 2-minute games, and I play, and then I have a spreadsheet of every country in the map, and I put my score into the sheet. And I've now in the past 10 days, I've added like 600 different games into this sheet, and the
Holy shit.
spreadsheet's looking pretty full on, and it's averaging out like ranking in order of which countries I'm best at, which ones I'm worst at, and the country I'm going to work on this week is bottom of the list. So
How'd the
I
eBay
believe it's
sales go this
Canada at
week,
the
man? Are
moment.
they
They're getting
plummeting
there. They're
this
getting
week,
there
or
as well.
it's past 10 days, not really doing so hot, or what?
Yeah, when I take things seriously, I get into it. I
For
love
sure, yeah,
spreadsheets and stuff, so I love being I like visually see numbers, and
yeah, yeah.
I can tell I need work in Serbia and North Macedonia because I keep getting those countries mixed up, and Croatia. So I'm going to spend a bit of time just in like the Baltics and
Fine
doing
tuning
countries
that.
there and things like
Yeah,
that.
that is a tough region. Yeah,
But where I haven't gotten one country guess wrong in South America this month, so I'm like, all right, I finally nailed what Bolivia polls look like and blah blah blah,
sure.
which took a long time for me to get
That's a good
over.
approach. I like that approach. That's how I feel like it. Like I said, it maybe if I had, I'm not trying to say that you don't have anything to do at your job, but I'm just trying to say if I had that kind of like convenience, I guess, with work, that would probably be an approach that I would be more likely to take, because it's not like I'm going to start up going back to Rim. I'm not going to start up a new RimWorld save while I'm working. But GeoGuessr feels like pretty passive, and you can still kind of keep your brain active and feel like you're doing stuff and kind of learning something on the side while
Yeah,
also doing
exactly.
your work, right? So yeah, I think that's a good approach to take. And if I didn't have as many other disparate other things that I wanted to do, like all the PlayStation games you have behind you or whatever, that I think I would be a lot more inclined to take that kind of approach. I think because I think that's a good way to do it, to just kind of help yourself knock the same way I've got this fucking Steam list right here. I should just do a country list. You know what I mean? And just
Yeah.
kind of start slowly knocking it off. I think that'd be a good approach to take.
Especially the ones you're worst at, because it might sound
Yeah.
daunting, but like I'm now confident in Russia, and if I get a jewel, I'm like, oh sweet, Russia's popped up. You know, oh Siberian lurchers, sweet. I know what side of the country we're on. Not just like, oh god, I'll just click in the middle and hope for the best because it
Yeah.
doesn't work.
Yeah. No, actually, I've been I was thinking about this recently too. I think I'm just gonna start clicking in the middle. Not all the time, but I think it might pay off for me, because I do this shit where I think to myself, "Oh fuck, you know what, man? I'm almost positive that this is like in the far south of Colombia. Like I guarantee it is. I've seen this before. I've been on this road." And then I'll click that
And
bitch
it'll be up
and
north.
it's very far north. And I've gotten so fed up with that so often. Like, man, all right, I got the right country, but I got nothing to show for it. You know what I mean? It's just humiliating. And so when that happens like 4 times in a game, it's like, fuck, man. Like, I did well. I got all the countries right, but I was in the opposite of the fucking country because I was trying to to think I thought I knew more than I did every fucking time. You know what I mean? Some countries like Poland, I feel like it's just, you know what? Let's just go center. I'm just gonna go center. I don't know what I'm doing out here.
Poland, I can go north or south depending on the town name, but
Right.
that's
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah. We got that. We got that. And then, but south also, you get a little more hills and stuff, right? But like far south. But other than that, I mean, Poland is fucking impossible, right? Might as well just center plonk. Thailand, I'm feeling the same way these days. I'm like, man, you know what?
Thailand's got a couple of things. I like one that the poles have got these little rings on them, and the further north you are, the more rings it's got.
Really?
And we had a round
I don't
today
know.
that
I've
had
never
like
heard that.
9 rings on it, and it was like way far north. So.
That's crazy. I don't know that I've ever heard that. Maybe I've just ignored every bit of information that someone has informed me on about that, but I don't know that I've ever heard that. That's crazy.
You mentioned before, someone brought up in your chat phone codes. So as a moving player,
Yeah.
phone codes I feel like the most
In
OP
Brazil, they're
thing.
huge. Yeah.
100%. And a lot of countries like Germany and France, they're so easy to learn because they're just patterns. They're literally just like clockwise or anti-clockwise circle around the country. All you need to know is where they start and remember the pattern, and you know the phone codes. So
Yeah, that
it
makes
can be really
sense.
helpful.
That's how
Japan starts at the top, finishes at the bottom.
yeah. No, that totally makes sense. You just got to know kind of the order, whether it's one at the top or one at the bottom,
Yeah,
basically.
exactly.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's like with Iceland and like the main highways that go around. It's like it starts in Reykjavik at 100, and then it basically gets to 900 by the time it loops clockwise all the way
Yeah, well,
around.
Mexico
Right?
starts at
It's
one
like,
in Baja California and finishes down the bottom and things
for
like that.
sure.
Mexico's hard
Yeah.
for phone code. I memorized it. Six. No, I did memorize it. It
Yeah.
starts at
No.
6, ends in 9. Mexico City's 5, and I've mixed up the middle.
Yeah. Meanwhile, here in North America, we just throw phone codes wherever. Yeah, I'm not really sure if there is a rhyme or reason in America. I don't
I don't
know.
know. I've looked in North America, and yeah,
Doesn't seem
it's
like
tough.
it. Yeah.
That's it's a
Yeah.
country I'm bad
If
at.
you can have it, but yeah, it seems to be just it's god awful. It's if if there was a pattern to work off of, I feel like there'd be like you would see it. You know what I mean? But if you're just going to look at a chart of phone codes in the U.S., it's not gonna. I don't
As a
think it
US, I'm
looks.
going for town name and the highway sign, because the highway sign in a lot of states is like the
Yeah,
shape of the state.
yeah. If you're doing moving, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
looking at number plates, because I know a half a dozen of number plates and different things like that.
For sure. Yeah, yeah. I feel like with the US, all I can really do is work with foliage and architecture. Those feel like the two main things. It's like I've seen a lot of the US, just having traveled around a lot. So it's like certain places tend to look a little more distinctive. But I say that and then I'm completely fucking off. Like, or I just go Ohio because I'm like, I don't know. It looks like America. I don't know. It's just an American looking place. So it's probably like Ohio or something. I don't know. But yeah, but then in my head, there's so many places. Like I grew up in the South, right? So it's like I feel like, okay, this is a very southern looking place. Pick it, boom, it's gonna be Vermont. I'm like, what the
Or
fuck? I
Montana or
swear to
something.
God. Yeah, yeah. Like, God damn it, I guess I don't know what I thought I knew. Right. It's crazy.
But I'm sure, like all things, you're getting more consistent, and you're not just getting close, you're getting the state right now, and different things
For
like
sure.
that. And
Yeah, yeah. Or even just the region. I'm generally satisfied with, if you the average person breaks up the US and let's say like, the West, the Pacific Northwest, the Northeast, the Midwest, and then the South. You know what I mean? But as a geo player, you're gonna learn to break it up into like 20 different kind of subcategories or whatever instead, right? So it's like if I can start to pinpoint those a little bit better, whew, whew, that's a relief. That's a relief. If you get a Dakota, oh, I'm proud of myself. Even though it's simple, it's just like it feels good compared to just being like,
or
fuck it, I
even
don't know,
getting like
Ohio.
within 1 or 200 kilometers, I'm happy. We had a
Yeah.
Browns
Oh
night.
yeah.
I wasn't even in the top five, and I'm like, I got the state next to it. I'm stoked.
Yeah,
Woohoo!
yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. I don't know. The amount of times that I think something looks like Tennessee and then it turns out it's not Tennessee is like embarrassing, I feel. Even though it's a big place, like of course I don't know the whole fucking thing, but it's just a part of me that's like, I should get that. I should get that. Come on. Right.
Oh, it's the US Canada 50/50s that I'm still struggling on.
Yeah, I feel like with those, it's you never really perfect it. You just get a little bit better every time with those ones. Because I feel
Yeah,
like these
you guess
days,
it's a bit closer and things like that.
yeah, yeah. Like a few months ago, I would have got them right 7 out of 10 times, and now I feel like I'm at 7.2 out of 10. Slow and steady wins the race on those.
Plus, I do love when you make a guess and you'll have two guesses in your head, and you've guessed and your guess is wrong, but the 50/50 was like the 5K. I'll feel good when I do that,
Uh,
because I'm like,
uh,
I was kind of on the track.
the amount of times that I'm like, oh, I don't know, man, Philippines or Ecuador, and then I go Ecuador and it's Philippines is just like the hundreds of thousands of times at this point is just embarrassing.
No, I feel like that's the best learning experience. So you learn from your mistakes. So you make that mistake, and then there'll be one little thing in that round that's like, okay, so that little tiny thing
That's
in
the
my head, I'm like, that's the Ecuador thing, and I went Philippines. But the next time you get it, you're like, no, that is Ecuador, because went Philippines and got it wrong. So the next
or at
time you get it
least
right.
I thought it was the Ecuador thing and it wasn't. And then I'm wrong again and I look like a fool. You know what I mean? It's just, sometimes it's just kind of the way it
That
works, man.
happens
There's
too.
so
Yeah.
many tiny little details that can make a location what it is. It's not always just like a distinctive bollard or a distinctive road line or something. There's so many little variables that can come together sometimes to like make a thing. Oh, I finally deduced what this is after taking in all of these different little elements, right? That's part of what's just makes the game so uh stimulating in the first place, right? Just being able to
Metas aren't
like
100% sending on a wrong meta when it looks like the wrong country and you've just sent on the meta.
or a thing that's never failed for you. There are some things that it's like you just that it's going to work so you don't even bother to look at anything else and then you do it and it betrays you. Like, wait, I've done that 100 times and I've never been wrong. Why this time?
Yeah, yeah. There's like, especially towns on the border. There's a town in Slovakia that has like a hungry bollard, and it's like, what?
Yeah, right. Yeah. See, that's
What is
just
this location? I
deceptive.
know that bollard. It's not a Slovakia bollard. Like, that doesn't
Slovakian
make
guy
any
just
sense.
wandered across the border, yoinked the bollard out, and brought it back with him to shove it in. It's what is that stuff? It just feels like straight up geoguesser trolling.
You can buy bollards, or they call them reflectors, light
Roadside
reflectors.
reflectors. Yeah, yeah. I know you can buy
They
them.
start from like $30. I'm like, oh, that'd be kind of fun to give to a GeoGuessr player.
You should be a Ballard eBay guy. I'm sure there's a big market for that.
Oh, see, the thing is, like, shipping would be ridiculous. Yeah.
Yeah. Are they heavy? You ever carried? I know that they're big. I don't know if they're all just like a light plastic or something though. Like,
And imagine some are probably just plastic and empty, but then some are
yeah.
made out of metal. So the metal ones would be heavy.
Right, right. That would make sense. And depending on what weather is like in some places or something. If you're in a place
Yeah,
with a lot of
100%.
fucking a lot of hurricanes, you're probably gonna have some heftier bollards than a place that
Yeah, or
doesn't
snow
see
or
that type of
something like
weather.
that. Makes
Yeah, it makes
sense.
sense. Yeah. Yeah. Well, this is good, Figsy. I had a good time, man.
Yeah, this was fun. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely.
Chatting
Is there
everyone. It was good being on the other side.
once again, is there anything else that you feel you need to say? Anything you wanna do you want to shout yourself out? Let everybody know where to find you?
I am Figsy Games on every platform. We're on YouTube, Twitch, uh, X, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok,
Huge.
Discord, you name it. I'm on there. What's the new Instagram that they started? Freds. I made one of those accounts.
Yeah,
Never
you got one of
been on.
those, hey? Never been on it?
No, I went on it the first day to make an account, and that's about it. I just get notifications.
Fuck you guys, go follow Figsy on Threads, all right? Do it.
Go
No, thank you, man. This is very
see my
nice.
embarrassing TikToks I made.
There you go. Fuck, I'm thinking about doing the same thing, man. I'm right behind you on that. I think I'm ready.
But if you want to check out my YouTube, I've got a lot of GeoGuessr content I'm planning to put out in the future. I'm going to make like a
Good.
Dust Dan's got an amazing in-depth India guide. I'm going to make like a follow-up to that on stuff that he didn't cover and things like that. So if you
Nice.
want to learn some more India, feel free
I
to
should probably
jump
just watch
in.
both of those. I could use
I
like
watched
I could use a
Dust
thing
Guide
or
probably
two.
like 4 times just until I got everything. And yeah,
Yeah.
it's like the Bible.
Yeah, there you go. The India Bible. I think they have a name for that,
I
don't
love
they?
it. Yeah, man.
The
If you
Bhagavad
want to learn a
Gita.
country, all the information's out there. Like not just Plonker, there's guides for
For sure.
everything out there.
Yeah. Yeah. And stuff that would seem so to someone who is unfamiliar with it, it would seem so ridiculous that there would be guides out there to teach people this stuff. It's kind of comical, really.
Yeah, it's like you want to learn all the bus stops in Sweden. There's a guide for that.
Yeah, yeah, it's so
You
crazy.
want to learn what the moon and Saturn looks like in Botswana. There's a guide for that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
The guide's goated, by the way.
What's that? The moon
The
guide?
guide is goated. Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah. All right, Figsy. Well, this is good, man. I appreciate you coming on. It's good talking
Yeah,
to you.
thanks for having me on, Murph. This has been awesome.
Absolutely. And yeah, all right. I'll catch up with you soon then, I'm sure.
All right. See you, everyone. Thanks for having me.
Take care, Figsy. There we go, guys. There we go. Figsy Games. There you go. I feel like we could have probably talked about gaming for another like 3 hours.